Hi, my name is Rachel and welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. Today is a very simple video about how to save noodle bean seeds. This is also the same process if you want to save the noodle beans as dried beans instead of eating them as fresh beans. So noodle beans are going to go through a life cycle that is similar to green beans. They will start out small and then they will get to a size that is like the thickness that you would eat a green bean at. Basically this edible size for them is where they are getting thick, but before they really start to bulge out with the beans that are inside. And when you're looking at which ones you want to save for seeds or dried beans, you're going to want to let them go past the point where you might eat them until they get kind of fat and leathery. So this is a great option if you're like me and you are growing so many that either you can't eat them or you don't notice when they become overgrown. And so there's a difference between when they start to get fat and when they start to get to the right amount of leathery. So if we look at this one is not quite ready yet, even though it's getting fat, because when you squish it, it still feels firm and it feels like the seed and the bean is attached to the inside. But when we come over here and look at this one doesn't have any beans down here, but up here where it does, this squishes and you can feel that the bean inside is kind of detached and almost just like moving around inside, and the skin also feels a lot more leathery and loose. And this is the perfect time to pull noodle beans for saving the beans for seeds or eating. Here's another good example of one that is ready. Again, it is squishy and you can feel the solid bean inside of that. So once they get to this point, you can go ahead and pick them, but this is the earliest you can pull them. You can wait longer. So if you continue to wait, the noodle bean will dry and shrivel up as long as you live somewhere where that's possible. A lot of times here what happens is they start to dry up and then it rains, and because it's mostly dead, it kind of starts molding. And so this is where the kind of time period where you can do this and have it be okay comes in. There's a little bit of a limit between having it be done and having it stay out here so long that it gets rained on again and then starts to mold. Here's some more examples of some that are dried out, and you'll notice they look far less fat after they're dried out. And sometimes you can feel like maybe there aren't any seeds in them, but a lot of times you'll find that it's just the fact that everything is dried out that it looks so skinny. So I'm going to pull some of these and then meet you back inside for the next step. Alright, so I am inside with my noodle beans and it is time to go ahead and shell them. Now, this is where you'll see a little bit of different advice. Some people will tell you that you have to wait for them to dry in the pods, and I don't think that that is necessary at all in my experience. Some people will even tell you that you should have left them outside until they're all the way dry. And while, like I said, you can do that, you do run the risk of doing that dance between is it going to be dry or is it going to get rained on and mold. And this method is a little bit more sure in that if you pick them while they're like this and they're leathery, you know that they are not going to mold and that you're going to be able to get your bean out fresh. And at this point, as you're shelling them, you will see the beans come out and they will be wet and large, kind of like you would expect them to look right before you cook them. And you'll need to lay them out to dry. So as you can see, the fresh beans are a lot larger than the dried beans. If you've ever cooked dried beans, then you know this. And at this point, after you've laid them out and let them dry out fully, then you can store them. And for storage, you'll want to store them the way that they store dried beans from the store, in a sealed container in the pantry away from the light. And before cooking them, if you're going to cook them, you'll want to soak them for a few hours and then cook them the way that you would other beans, which is usually simmering for a few hours. If you are saving these for seeds to plant, what you'll want to do is a germination test, which I do with all of the seeds that I save for planting. And that's just as easy as laying them out on a wet paper towel in a plastic baggie and waiting and counting how many of them germinate. And this can be really good as kind of like a sanity check that you have saved your seeds correctly and that they are viable, because you don't want to find that out next year after you've planted them in the garden. Alrighty, and it is as simple as that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I have a bunch of other videos on seed saving and more to come, so please like and subscribe. And I will see you next time, but until then, happy gardening.